All right, let's get right into it. We spend a lot of time thinking about what a company sells. But what if I told you that where they sell it is maybe even more important? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden strategies that power the global marketplace. And we're going to use the super interesting beverage market in Kampala, Uganda as our case study. It all kicks off with a pretty simple question, right? One you've probably thought about. Why is that super fancy, beautifully bottled tequila the star of the show at a high-end cocktail bar, but you can't find it anywhere on the shelves of a massive warehouse store? The answer, and this is the cool part, isn't an accident. It's a very deliberate, very powerful strategy at play. So, to really get our heads around this, we need one key term, the sales channel. It's just a fancy way of saying the specific place or the method a company uses to sell its stuff to you. So, a fancy restaurant, that's one channel. A giant wholesaler, that's a completely different one, and each one has a totally different job to do. And this, right here, brings us to the central conflict, the big idea that pretty much every business on the planet has to deal with. It's the ultimate strategic tug of war, the constant battle between volume and value. Okay, so think of it like this. A volume strategy is all about moving product, as many units as you possibly can. It's a game of scale, of speed, of being everywhere. A value strategy, on the other hand, is about squeezing the most profit out of every single thing you sell, even if you sell way fewer of them. That's a game of brand, of experience, of high margins. Two totally different philosophies. Now, this is where it gets really, really fascinating. This slide shows these two strategies in the wild. Just look at the merchant wholesaler. It moves a staggering 26% of all the bottles sold, but it only captures about 13, maybe 14% of the money. Now flip that. Look at bars and restaurants. They sell a tiny fraction of the volume, less than 7%, but they generate over 16% of the entire market's value. Whoa! This isn't just data, you guys. It's a story about two completely different worlds. Okay, so let's step into that first world, the bar and restaurant channel. It's not just a place to grab a drink. No way. It's the market's premiumization arena. This is where brands are built. It's where experiences are sold for premium. And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? That little slice, that's all the bottles it sells. But look how it punches way, way above its weight, turning that tiny volume into a huge chunk of the market's total cash. See, in here, people aren't just paying for the liquid in the glass. They're paying for the vibe, the service, the story behind the brand. And there is no better poster child for this than the absolute star of this channel, Clase Azul Tequila. I mean, this is the very definition of an ultra-premium brand. It's all about quality and that iconic, beautiful bottle. Okay, get ready for this. Of all the drinks, every single one sold in bars and restaurants in Kampala, Clase Azul makes up just over 0.5% of the volume. That's it. It's basically a rounding error, a tiny, tiny fraction. But, and this is the punchline, that tiny, minuscule volume, it generates almost 8% of the entire channel's value. Let that sink in for a second. A single brand selling very few bottles is responsible for this massive chunk of all the money being made. That, my friends, is the incredible power of matching a high-value product with a high-value channel. Okay, wow. So we've seen the high-value, low-volume world of that premium arena. Now let's do a complete 180 and step into its polar opposite. If bars are the fancy stage for premium brands, then merchant wholesalers, well, they're the volume powerhouse. They're a machine built for scale and pure speed. And yep, the chart tells the exact opposite story, doesn't it? A gigantic slice of the market's volume, we're talking over a quarter of all bottles sold, flows right through this channel. But look at that value slice. It's so much smaller. This channel's entire reason for being is high turnover and low prices. The brands that absolutely crush it here aren't exclusive or niche. They are the titans of accessibility. And in Kampala, that means brands like Four Cousins Wines. They're popular, everyone knows them, and they're easy on the wallet. And check this out. A single product, just the Four Cousins Sweet Red Wine, accounts for over 10% of this entire channel's volume. Think about that for a second. One wine makes up 1/10 of everything sold here. That is just incredible market dominance in the volume game. But here's the trade-off. That massive volume, it translates to just 4% of the channel's value. It's the perfect picture of that high-velocity, low-margin model. You have to sell an absolute mountain of bottles to make your mark, and Four Cousins has totally mastered that playbook. So we've got these two opposing worlds, right? The value arena and the volume powerhouse. But the really smart companies, the real winners, they don't just pick one. They write a playbook that lets them dominate in both. Let's just look at wine, because it's a perfect example of this. It's a tale of two totally different strategies living right next to each other. You've got the volume play, all about those accessible, sweet wines like Four Cousins that just own the wholesale channels. And at the exact same time, you have the value play, which is focused on premium dry wines like Niederberg that do really well in more exclusive spots. The genius part is that brands can do both at the same time. It's like running two different, highly specialized businesses under one roof. This quote here from the analysis just nails it. The goal isn't some one-size-fits-all strategy. The real goal is to create what's called a brand channel stronghold. And that's just that perfect, powerful marriage between what a brand is and where it's sold. And here's a fantastic case study of that idea in action. Look at Jameson whiskey in these Tier 2 supermarkets. It captures over 4% of the value from just 3.5% of the volume. That is a brand channel stronghold. Jameson has found its sweet spot, its perfect home, a channel that kind of bridges that premium feel with mainstream access. And because of that perfect fit, it's absolutely dominating. So why does all this matter to you? Well, because once you see this playbook, you can't unsee it. These strategies are all around us every single day in everything we buy. So the key takeaway, the one thing to remember from all this is simple, but it's really powerful. The secret to winning in any market isn't about finding one single magic bullet strategy. No, it's about being a master strategist, about understanding that different battlefields require different playbooks and knowing exactly which one to pull out and win. So next time you walk into a store or a restaurant or even just browse online, I want you to look a little closer. Because now you have the lens. You can see the hidden game that's being played out on every single shelf. What strategies are you going to spot? What stories are the products telling you? Not just by what they are, but by where they are.